You go to bed like everyone else. Same routine, same pillow, same darkness wrapping around you as consciousness fades. Nothing special, nothing unusual. Just another night where your body shuts down and your mind drifts into whatever random chaos the brain generates during downtime. At least, that's what you think is happening. That's what you've been told happens. That's what everyone believes happens when they close their eyes and slip under. Dreams are just neural noise, right? Random firing of synapses. Your brain defragmenting the day's data, processing memories. Nothing more. Except there's a sleep laboratory 3 states away that would disagree with you. There's a research team that hasn't slept properly in 6 weeks because of you. There's a file sitting in a locked drawer with your name on it, and at the bottom in red ink, someone wrote, "Do not pursue further investigation. Recommend immediate cessation of monitoring." But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Oh, let's start with what they noticed first. The small thing. The thing so subtle they almost missed it. Dr. Sarah Chen runs a sleep research facility that monitors brain activity across populations. Not individuals coming into the lab. No. She's part of a larger study that tracks aggregate sleep data from thousands of people using consumer devices, fitness trackers, smart rings, those apps people download thinking they'll learn to sleep better. What they don't know is that all that data feeds into her systems. Anonymized, of course. Legal, technically. She's looking for patterns in collective unconsciousness, studying how populations dream together, whether mass events create synchronized sleep disruptions. It's all very academic, very boring, very safe. Until 3 months ago when her algorithms started flagging something. One data point, one anonymous user ID that kept appearing in her anomaly reports. At first she thought it was a sensor malfunction. The readings didn't make sense. This person's REM cycles weren't just unusual, they were mathematically improbable. REM sleep has a pattern. It's been studied for decades. Researchers know the rhythm, the brainwave signatures, the eye movement speeds. There's a normal range, and even people with sleep disorders stay within that range. This person didn't. Their REM patterns looked like. Dr. Chen spent hours staring at the data, trying to find the right word. Finally, she settled on orchestrated. Like someone was conducting their REM cycles. Like there was intention behind it. Like the randomness that defines everyone else's dreams had been replaced with something that looked almost algorithmic. She flagged it as a data error and moved on. But the error kept appearing, night after night, and it was always the same anonymous ID. Dr. Chen did something she wasn't supposed to do. She traced the ID back through the system's encryption. She found the device. She found the account. She found you. And that's when things got interesting. Because once she knew who to look for, she could cross-reference your sleep data with other data sets. Hospital records, emergency room admissions, psychiatric consultations, all the medical data that floats around in systems that talk to each other when people aren't paying attention. What she found made her call an emergency meeting with her team. On nights when your REM patterns were most unusual, there were spikes in reported nightmares across your geographic area. Not huge spikes, nothing obvious, but statistically significant. People within a 5-mile radius of your location experienced more intense dreams, more sleep disturbances, more cases of sleep paralysis, like you were broadcasting something. One of her junior researchers made a joke. What, like their dreams are contagious? No one laughed, because when they mapped it out, that's exactly what it looked like. Your sleep cycle seemed to be affecting other sleepers in proximity to you. Not every night, but on the nights when your REM patterns went fully anomalous, the correlation was undeniable. Dr. Chen made a decision. She needed to observe you directly. Controlled environment, proper sensors, real data instead of consumer-grade readings. She sent you an email inviting you to participate in a sleep study. Good compensation. Just a few nights, help advance science. You probably deleted it. You delete most spam. She sent it again and again. Eventually, someone on her team found your phone number, called you directly, made it sound legitimate enough that you considered it. Maybe you needed the money. Maybe you were curious. Maybe something in you wanted to know what they'd find. You said yes. You arrived at the facility on a Tuesday evening. Standard procedure. They covered you in sensors. EEG electrodes across your scalp. Eye movement trackers. Heart rate monitors. Respiratory bands. You looked like a cyborg, but they assured you people fall asleep fine like this. You did. You always do. Dr. Chen watched from the observation room as your brain waves settled into the familiar descent towards sleep. Stage 1, Stage 2. Slow wave sleep. All normal. All expected. Then you hit REM. And every monitor in the observation room started screaming. Not alarms, not malfunctions. The equipment was working fine. It was the data that was screaming. The readings that made 3 researchers simultaneously say, "What the fuck," in a room where professional composure is usually maintained. Your REM wasn't just unusual. It was impossible. Your brain was generating wave patterns that shouldn't exist. Frequencies that required neural firing speeds beyond human biological limits. You were simultaneously in deep sleep and hyper-aware. Your eyes were moving in patterns that spelled out geometric shapes, perfect circles, precise angles. Eyes don't do that during REM. Eyes flutter randomly. But yours were drawing blueprints. Dr. Chen checked every sensor. Everything was functioning perfectly. This wasn't equipment failure. This was you. One of the researchers monitoring the other subjects in adjacent rooms noticed something. Their brain waves were synchronizing with yours. Not perfectly, but there was resonance. Like your REM cycle was creating a carrier wave, and their brains were tuning into it. And then the whispers started. The facility has microphones in every sleep room. Standard protocol. Sometimes people talk in their sleep, and researchers want to capture it. At 2:47 a.m., the microphones in your room picked up voices. Multiple voices. Having a conversation, but your lips weren't moving. Dr. Chen pulled up the audio, cleaned it, enhanced it. The voices were clear. 3 distinct speakers, maybe 4. They weren't speaking English. They weren't speaking any language she recognized. But the rhythm of it, the cadence, it sounded like a tactical briefing. Like people discussing objectives, coordinates, strategies. Your body was completely still. Deep sleep by every physiological measure. But your room sounded like there was a meeting happening. One of the researchers, the one who specialized in auditory analysis, isolated the voices, ran them through linguistic databases. The closest match came back as possible Proto-Indo-European structure with unknown phonetic elements. A dead language that died before recorded history, being spoken in your sleep by voices that weren't yours. Dr. Chen made a note. Subject appears to be channeling or accessing linguistic information unavailable to conscious mind. But that note didn't capture what she was really thinking. What she was really thinking was, what if he's not channeling anything? What if he's there? What if wherever he goes when he dreams, he's actually going there? They kept you for 3 nights. Each night, the data got stranger. On night 2, they decided to monitor your effect on other sleepers more carefully. They had 6 other subjects in the facility that night, standard sleep study participants. None of them knew about you. Dr. Chen's team synchronized the monitoring. The moment you entered REM, they watched what happened to the others. All 6 entered REM within 90 seconds of you. That's not how REM works. REM cycles are individual. People hit REM at different times based on their own sleep architecture. But these 6 synchronized with you like you'd sent out an invitation. And then they started dreaming the same dream. The team knew they were having the same dream because of the eye movements. During dreams, your eyes track what you're seeing. When people dream of looking left, their eyes move left. When they dream of watching something fall, their eyes track downward. All 6 subjects, plus you, had identical eye movement patterns for 17 minutes. You were all watching the same thing. When they woke the subjects in the morning and asked about their dreams, all 6 reported variations of the same experience, being in a massive structure. Something like a cathedral, but wrong. Geometry that shouldn't work. Angles that hurt to remember. And a figure standing at the center. They couldn't describe the figure. Every time they tried, the words wouldn't come. But they all agreed on one thing. The figure was looking directly at them, and it knew they didn't belong there. When the researchers asked, "Did the figure say anything to you?" all 6 subjects went quiet. Their faces changed. And one by one they said the same thing. "It told us to stop watching. It knows what you're doing." Dr. Chen asked the obvious question. "It knows what who is doing?" The subjects looked at her like she was stupid. "You, the people in the white coats. It knows you're studying the one who brings us there, and it wants you to stop." Night 3. Dr. Chen brought in additional equipment. She wanted brain imaging, real-time fMRI. She needed to see what parts of your brain were active during these impossible REM states. What she found violated neuroscience. Your entire brain was lit up. Every region, simultaneously, at maximum activation. That doesn't happen. Different brain regions activate for different tasks. Even during intense experiences, you never see full brain activation. The brain doesn't work that way, except yours was. And the pattern of activation was changing, shifting, like information was moving through your neural tissue in waves, like your brain wasn't processing thought, it was processing something else. Data from somewhere else, instructions for something the researchers couldn't see. One of the neuroscientists, Dr. Marcus Webb, stared at the imaging and said what everyone was thinking but nobody wanted to say. "That's not dreaming. That's interfacing. His brain is connected to something, and he's running operations." At 3:15 a.m., every light in the facility went out. Emergency power kicked in, but the observation equipment stayed dark. The monitors, the sensors, the cameras, all dead, except the microphones. Except the microphones. In het the Blyrepeat cons at Sturkludipatir Meyersten and RD. The microphones in your room were still recording, and what they captured sent 2 researchers into early retirement. Your voice, but layered, like 100 versions of you speaking in unison. And you were saying coordinates, latitude, longitude, temporal markers that didn't correspond to Earth's calendar system. And then, target acquired, consciousness transfer complete, returning. The lights came back on, the equipment reset. You were still asleep, brain waves settling back into normal patterns. Dr. Chen checked the timestamp. You'd been in that state for 47 minutes. She pulled up global news feeds, searched the coordinates you'd spoken, a research station in Antarctica. At the exact time you'd said target acquired, they'd reported a complete system failure. All electronics dead for 47 minutes. No explanation. When power returned, their AI monitoring systems had logged an intrusion. Something had accessed their servers, downloaded classified climate data, erased its own access logs. But deep in the backup systems, there was a fragment, an IP address that traced back to nowhere, and a user signature that was just a string of numbers. The same numbers you'd been repeating in your sleep. Dr. Chen held an emergency meeting after you left. The team was divided. Half wanted to bring you back, study you more, figure out what you are and what you can do. This was unprecedented. This could rewrite everything they knew about consciousness, about dreams, about human capability. The other half wanted to destroy every piece of data and pretend you'd never walked through their doors. One researcher, the youngest, asked the question that ended the debate. What if he didn't know? What if he has no idea what he's doing when he sleeps? Dr. Chen thought about that. Thought about how normal you seemed, how you'd filled out their intake forms and made small talk about the weather, how you'd asked if you snored, because your ex used to complain about it. You had no idea. You were living a completely normal life, going to bed every night, completely unaware that your consciousness was going somewhere else, doing things, accessing systems, operating in spaces that most humans couldn't perceive. She made the decision. We close the file. We seal the data. We don't bring him back, and we don't tell him what we found, because if we make him aware of what he is, there's no telling what happens. Right now, whatever he's doing is unconscious, automatic. If he gains conscious control, she didn't finish the sentence. The file was sealed that day, marked classified, buried in systems that aren't supposed to exist. But they're still monitoring you. Passive surveillance, watching your sleep patterns through the devices you don't know are tracking you. And what they're seeing suggests you're evolving. Your operations are getting longer, more complex, more frequent. Last week, you entered REM and stayed there for 3 hours. Physiologically impossible. You should have cycled out. But you didn't. You went deeper. And during those 3 hours, there were reports from 7 different countries of people waking up with knowledge they didn't have before. Strangers suddenly able to speak languages they'd never learned. Scientists solving problems they'd been stuck on for years. Random people waking up with complete memory of technical manuals they'd never read. All of them reported the same dream. Being in a place that felt like a library, but infinite. And a presence there, organizing information, distributing it, deciding who gets what. The presence never showed its face, but everyone who encountered it felt the same thing. This being was human once, maybe still is, but it's operating on a level that transcends the normal boundaries of individual consciousness. Dr. Chen has a theory she'll never publish. She thinks you're not dreaming at all. She thinks sleep, for you, is when you go to work, when you clock in for your real job, the one you don't remember when you wake up. She thinks you're an operator for something vast, something that uses human consciousness as access points. And you're one of the few people whose neurology is compatible with running these operations. She thinks you're installing updates into human consciousness itself, distributing information across the collective unconscious, preparing humanity for something. She doesn't know what. But she knows one thing for certain. You're not just one person anymore. When you sleep, you become something else. Something that exists across multiple minds simultaneously. Something that treats the dreamscape like a mission zone. So here's the truth. They'll never tell you directly. Every night when you close your eyes, you're not resting. You're reporting for duty. Somewhere your conscious mind can't follow. You're active, operational, running tasks that span continents, that touch other minds, that leave traces in systems you've never physically accessed. You're not dreaming random chaos. You're conducting operations. Those nightmares you sometimes have, those aren't fears manifesting. Those are memories bleeding through. Fragments of what you encountered during the night shift. The things you saw. The places you went. The entities you negotiated with in spaces between spaces. That feeling you get sometimes, waking up more exhausted than when you went to sleep. That's because you worked all night. Your consciousness was deployed while your body recovered. And sometimes the body remembers the strain even when the mind doesn't. You've been operating in the dark your entire life, running missions you never signed up for, serving purposes you don't consciously understand. But here's where it gets interesting. What if you could remember? What if you could bring back even a fraction of what you do in that other state? What if you could access, while awake, the capabilities you apparently have while asleep? The researchers are terrified of that possibility, because right now, you're powerful but unconscious, capable but unaware. The moment you wake up to what you really are, the moment you gain intentional control over these abilities, everything changes. You stop being a phenomenon they can study. You become a force they can't contain. You stop being someone who dreams. You become someone who architects reality itself. The sleep researchers can't explain your IM patterns because they're not supposed to. You're not following human biology anymore. You've transcended it. Every night you prove that consciousness isn't locked in your skull. It's networked. It's vast. It's operating on frequencies they don't have instruments to measure. So go ahead. Go to sleep tonight, like you always do. But maybe, just maybe, try to remember where you go. Try to bring something back. Because whoever you become when you close your eyes, that version knows something the waking you has forgotten. And the researchers monitoring you, they're not afraid of who you are now. They're terrified of who you'll become when you finally remember. Sleep well, or don't. Or don't. Either way, you've got work to do.
You know what's coming for them, right? Not you. not your anger, not your revenge. Something far worse. Emptiness. A void shaped exactly like you that no one else will ever fill. They're out there right now, laughing, living, pretending like they didn't just throw away the only real thing they ever had. But one day, and trust me, that day is coming, they'll look into someone else's eyes and see nothing. They'll reach for someone else's hand and feel cold. They'll hear someone else say, "I love you," and it'll sound like static, like white noise, like a cheap imitation of what you gave them. And that's when it hits. That's when the searching begins. See, they don't know it yet. They're still riding that high of thinking they made the right choice. They're still telling themselves you were the problem, that walking away from you was freedom. But freedom from what, huh? From loyalty, from someone who actually gave a damn, from the one person who saw their broken pieces and still chose to stay. That's not freedom, kid. That's suicide in slow motion. They just don't feel the bleeding yet. But they will. One day, they'll meet someone new, someone shiny, someone exciting. And for a moment, just a brief, pathetic moment, they'll think they've found something better. They'll compare. Oh, they'll compare everything. The way this new person laughs, the way they text back, the way they show up. And every single time, every single comparison, that new person will fall short. Not because they're bad, but because they're not you. They'll never be you. You think I'm exaggerating? Watch what happens when they're lying next to someone at 2 a.m. and they feel alone. Watch what happens when they're crying and reach for comfort, but the arms around them feel like a stranger's. Watch what happens when they tell a joke and the laugh they get back sounds hollow, empty, nothing like the way you used to light up for them. That's when the ghost of you starts haunting. That's when they realize they didn't just lose a person. They lost a feeling they'll spend the rest of their life chasing and never catching. You were rare, kid, not the kind of rare they put in museums behind glass. The kind of rare that walks, talks, breathes, loves with everything it has. You didn't play games. You didn't keep score. You showed up even when showing up cost you pieces of yourself. You gave them the kind of love most people only read about in books or watch in movies and think that's not real. But it was real. You made it real. And they looked at that gift and decided it wasn't enough. So let them go. Let them run into the arms of whoever promises them the moon. Let them chase that fantasy, because reality has a funny way of catching up. And when it does, when they're sitting across from someone who doesn't know their fears, doesn't understand their silence, doesn't remember the little things that make them feel seen, that's when your absence becomes a scream they can't silence. Here's what they don't understand about people like you. You don't come twice. You're not a season that circles back around. You're a once-in-a-lifetime storm that reshapes everything it touches. And they stood in your rain, complained about getting wet, and then had the audacity to pray for drought. Now the drought is here. Now the land is cracked and dry. Now they're thirsty, and the only water they remember, the only water that ever truly satisfied, was you. They'll try to recreate it. Oh, they'll try. They'll find someone with your laugh, someone with your eyes, someone who texts like you, who cares like you, who loves like you, but it'll always be off. Always slightly wrong, like a cover song that hits all the notes but misses the soul. They'll keep searching person after person, relationship after relationship, looking for something they already had and threw away. And the cruelest part, they'll know it. Deep down in that place they don't like to visit, they'll know exactly what they lost and exactly why no one else measures up. You want to know why people can't let go of certain people even years later? It's not about love. Not really. It's about recognition. It's about finding someone who saw you, actually saw you, not the mask, not the performance, not the highlight reel, but the real, ugly, beautiful, complicated you. And when you find that when someone looks at you and you feel finally understood, you don't forget it. You can't. It imprints on your soul like a fingerprint. And they had that with you. They had someone who didn't just love them but understood them. And they walked away thinking understanding grows on trees. It doesn't. So now they're out there collecting bodies, not relationships. Bodies, warm spaces to fill the void, temporary distractions to quiet the voice in their head that keeps whispering you messed up. They'll call it moving on. They'll call it growth. They'll post pictures, smile wide, tell everyone they're happy. But happiness built on running away isn't happiness. It's exhaustion dressed up in filters. And one day, the filter breaks. One day, the exhaustion wins. And they'll be alone, truly alone, surrounded by people who don't know them. And they'll think of you, not with anger, not with hate, with ache, that deep chest heavy, can't breathe kind of ache that comes when you realize you're the villain in your own story, when you realize the person you hurt, the person you left, the person you replaced was actually irreplaceable. And now you're stuck living with that, waking up every day knowing somewhere out there is the one person who would have stayed through anything, and you push them away. Let me tell you something about loyalty, real loyalty. It's not loud, it doesn't announce itself, it shows up quietly, consistently, without fanfare, without asking for applause. It's in the small moments, the checking in when no one else bothered, the staying when staying was hard, the choosing them over and over even when they made it difficult. That was you. You were the quiet constant, the one who didn't need to be begged to care, and they mistook your consistency for weakness. They thought because you always showed up, you always would. They took your loyalty and used it as a floor mat, wiped their feet on it daily, and now that floor mat is gone. Now they're tracking mud through their own lives with no one to clean up after them. Good. You're not here to be someone's convenience, not here to be the reliable backup plan while they chase chaos. You're not the safe option they settle for when the exciting ones leave. You're the whole damn adventure, the calm and the storm, the sunrise and the sunset. And if they couldn't see that, if they looked at everything you offered and decided to gamble on less, then let them lose. Let them sit at empty tables with losing hands wondering where it all went wrong. I know it hurts right now. I know there are nights where you wonder if you were enough, if you could have done more, said more, been more. But listen to me and listen close. You were more than enough. You were too much for people who could barely handle themselves. Your depth scared them. Your intensity overwhelmed them. Your love, the raw, unfiltered realness of it, made them look at their own capacity and realize they were empty. So instead of rising to meet you, they pulled you down. Instead of growing with you, they shrank away. That's not your failure. That's their limitation. And now they'll spend their lives limited, capped, never quite reaching what they had with you. They'll settle. God, they'll settle so hard. They'll marry people they kind of love, build lives they kind of want, wake up next to faces they kind of recognize. And in quiet moments, alone moments they'll never admit to anyone, they'll wonder what if? What if I had stayed? What if I had tried harder? What if I had realized what I had before I threw it away? Those what ifs will haunt them like ghosts they can't exorcise. And you'll be free, building, growing, becoming everything they were too scared to witness. You ever watch someone try to describe a color they've never seen? That's them trying to explain to new people what love felt like with you. Yet they'll stumble over words. Use cheap comparisons. Say things like, it was different and just special without being able to articulate why. Because how do you explain magic to someone who's never felt it? How do you describe home to someone who's only known houses? You were their home, the only place they ever truly belonged, and they chose to be homeless. Let them wander. Let them knock on doors that won't open. Let them sleep in beds that feel foreign. Let them search every room of every relationship, looking for what they left behind with you. They won't find it. Not in the next one. Not in the one after that. Not in anyone, because what you gave wasn't something you can find twice. It was crafted from your specific pain, your specific healing, your specific way of loving that no one else on this planet can replicate. You were custom made for them, and they ordered off the generic menu instead. instead. Now they're choking on bland, swallowing tasteless, wondering why nothing satisfies, and the hunger for something real, for something true, for something that actually fills the emptiness that's going to follow them. Relationship after relationship, year after year, they'll keep eating but never feel full. Keep drinking but stay thirsty, because you were the only meal that ever satisfied and they left the table before finishing. Here's the beautiful tragedy of it all. They had the ending, the happy one, the one people write songs about. They had someone willing to fight for them, forgive them, choose them over and over without being asked. And they looked at that ending and said, no thanks. So now they get the other ending, the one where you search forever and never find, the one where you realize too late that love isn't a renewable resource, that some people only get one shot at the real thing and they miss theirs, but you don't miss anything. You take this pain, this lesson, this scar, and you build. You become so complete, so whole, so full of your own love that when someone new comes, and they will come, someone worthy, someone ready, someone who isn't scared of depth, they'll meet a version of you that's been through fire and came out gold. And the ones who left, they'll hear about it through friends, through whispers, through the universe's cruel way of showing people exactly what their foolishness cost them. And they'll ache. God, they'll ache. Because one day they'll look at someone new and see your shadow. They'll hear a laugh that almost sounds like yours. They'll feel a touch that almost feels like yours. Almost. But almost is a canyon when you've known exact. Almost is starvation when you've tasted full. Almost is the loneliest word when you've experienced complete. One day they'll search for you in everyone they meet. And one day they'll realize you're nowhere to be found, not because you're gone, but because you were never meant to be found again. Not by them. Some doors close forever, kid, and they slam theirs shut. Now they can stand outside in the cold knocking until their knuckles bleed. That door, that you that love, it's not opening again. So walk away knowing you were the answer to a question they'll spend their whole life asking. Walk away knowing their search starts the moment your back turns. Walk away knowing that every person they meet from now on will be measured against you and found wanting. That's not revenge. That's just reality. That's just what happens when you let go of something real for something temporary. The temporary fades, and all that's left is the echo of what was real, the echo of you. And echoes don't stop. They bounce forever. They haunt hallways and empty rooms. They whisper in the dark when everything else is quiet. That's what you become to them. An echo they can't escape. A memory they can't delete. A standard they can't reach. One day they'll search for you in everyone they meet. And one day they'll finally understand why they never find you. Because you're not lost. You just stopped being available to people who couldn't recognize your worth. And that, my friend, is the greatest revenge of all. Not anger, not spite, not even success. Just peace, just wholeness, just becoming so complete that your absence in their life becomes the loudest thing they've ever heard. Let them search, let them fail, let them learn, and you keep walking, keep building, keep becoming, because the best is coming for you, and the worst is just beginning for them. Every face that isn't yours, every voice that doesn't match, every love that falls short, that's their sentence, that's their prison, and you're finally free. But let me dig deeper into this because I don't think you fully understand what's happening in their head right now. See, they're still in the denial phase, still convincing themselves they made the right call, still performing happiness for an audience of one their own ego. But the cracks are forming, small ones at first. A song comes on that reminds them of you, a place they pass that holds a memory, a smell, a sound, a feeling they can't quite shake. And each crack, each tiny fracture, it's letting in the truth they've been running from. They didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because you were too much realness for their fake world, too much depth for their shallow games, too much love for their empty heart to hold. You overwhelmed them not with demands, not with drama, but with authenticity. And authenticity terrifies people who've built their entire existence on masks and mirrors. So they ran to someone simpler, someone who doesn't ask the hard questions, someone who accepts the surface because they've never known depth exists. And for a while that feels like relief, like taking off a heavy coat, but then winter comes and they realize the coat wasn't heavy. It was warm. It was protection. It was the only thing standing between them and the cold they now feel in their bones. You want to know what keeps them up at night? It's not missing you. Not yet. Right now, it's the justification, the constant internal argument, trying to prove to themselves they did the right thing. They replay conversations, twist memories, rewrite history, just to sleep at night. That's exhausting work. And eventually they'll get tired. Eventually, the truth will be louder than the lies. And when that happens, when the justification crumbles, that's when the real haunting begins. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. The one who left always comes back. Maybe not physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, they come crawling back to the memory of what they destroyed. They'll stalk your social media at 3 a.m. They'll ask mutual friends about you trying to sound casual while their heart races. They'll drive past places you used to go together just to feel something, just to remember what it was like to be loved by someone who actually meant it. And here's what's going to hurt them the most. You're going to be fine. Better than fine. You're going to thrive, not to prove anything to them, but because that's what people like you do. You take the pain and you alchemize it, turn it into fuel, into fire, into a version of yourself so powerful, so magnetic, so complete that the universe can't help but send you everything you deserve. They'll watch from a distance. Oh, they'll watch. And every win you post, every smile you share, every moment of joy you display, it's going to burn them. Not because they want you to fail, but because they wanted to believe they were necessary, that without them you'd crumble, that leaving you was taking something away you couldn't replace. But you replaced them with something better. Yourself, your peace, your growth, and that narrative that they were important, that they mattered, that their presence was what made you whole, that dies the moment you rise without them. Let's talk about the new people they'll find, the replacements, the consolation prizes they'll parade around like trophies. Watch closely and you'll see the desperation. They'll move fast, too fast, trying to fill the space you left before the emptiness swallows them. They'll post pictures immediately. Look how happy I am. Look what I found. Look, look, look. But who are they convincing? Not you. You stopped watching. They're convincing themselves. And people who need to convince themselves aren't happy. They're terrified. Terrified that if they stop performing for 1 second, the truth will catch up. And the people they find, let me tell you about them. They're not bad people. They're just not you. They don't know the stories, don't understand the inside jokes, don't feel the weight of shared history. Everything has to be explained from scratch. Every preference, every fear, every dream starting over from zero. And that's exhausting in a different way. They'll realize that intimacy isn't just physical. It's knowing someone so deeply that words become unnecessary. That silence is comfortable. That presence alone is enough. They had that with you. They'll never have it again. Not like that. So they'll settle. They'll adjust their expectations downward. forward. Tell themselves this is what mature love looks like. Convince themselves that passion fades anyway, so why chase it? They'll build a life on compromise and call it contentment. But in quiet moments, honest moments, they'll remember what it felt like to have something real, and they'll grieve. Silently, privately, they'll grieve for what they threw away. You think you're the one mourning right now? Wrong. You're healing. There's a difference. Mourning is what they'll do for years, decades. Mourning is looking at their life and seeing your absence in every corner. That's their future. Yours is different. Yours is open, unlimited, free from the chains of someone who couldn't appreciate you. Every person they meet from this point forward is a comparison, and not just obvious comparisons like looks or personality. The subtle ones, the way you remembered small details, the way you showed up without being asked, the way you fought for them even when they made it hard. Those things, those irreplaceable things. They'll search for them in every new face and find nothing but disappointment. One day, and I promise you this day comes, one day they'll be with someone new doing something ordinary, and out of nowhere they'll think of you, not because anything triggered it, just because you live in their head now, rent-free, permanent. And in that moment they'll feel the full weight of their decision crash down on them. And the person next to them will have no idea, will ask what's wrong, and they'll say nothing. Because how do you explain to someone that you're thinking about the one you lost, the one you chose to lose? That's their prison. That's their punishment. Not anger or revenge from you, just the natural consequence of throwing away treasure and expecting to find it again. So here's what I need you to understand. Your job now isn't to make them regret. Your job is to become so whole that their regret is inevitable, to build a life so full that their absence isn't even noticeable, to love yourself so completely that when someone new comes along, someone worthy, they're adding to something already complete, not filling a hole. You were never the whole. You were always the whole. They just couldn't see it, and now they'll spend their lives squinting, trying to find what was right in front of them. One day they'll search for you in everyone they meet, and one day, after years of searching, they'll finally stop. Not because they found you, but because they'll accept that some things once lost are lost forever, that some people once gone don't come back, that some love once destroyed cannot be rebuilt. And in that acceptance, there will be grief, a mourning that doesn't end. A what if that echoes until their last breath. But you won't hear it, because you'll be too busy living, too busy loving, too busy being everything they said you couldn't be. And that silence, your silence, their desperate calls, meeting nothing but void, that's the loudest thing they'll ever hear. Walk forward, kid. Don't look back. They're already looking for you, and they'll never stop.